This is the radiator surround from the 49. The condition of it is not all that great. The surface has been attacked by salt air, and I'm not too sure whether that's actually gone through to the brass underneath. It certainly corroded the chrome on the top. The other condition problem with this one is that it's cracked on the bottom here, it's cracked around there, and it's starting to fall away at the bottom end. The solder's come undone. I'm going to replace it with this one, which is off my 1950 model. Condition is much better. It just needs re-chroming, a little bit of a dent in there, which I'll see if I can take out. The does have a split round here. I'll see if I can repair that. That seems to be fairly common on other ones that I've got as well. And a bit of a crack round there I've just noticed. So I'll see if I can silver solder that up. That's brass. The cover that went over the crank handle on this one was quite bent, so I was looking whether in fact I could take it off the 49. And when I was looking at it, the mechanism is much better. It's got a hole drilled in here though, and it wasn't until I turned it over that I noticed that that's where they had the spare key for the car. An ingenious place to put it. Certainly maybe I'll need to fill that up and reshape that, but I'll take that off. The centre sections in the radiator here on the 49, they weren't that bad. A lot of surface rust. On the 1950 model I have, they were badly rusted. So what I've done is I've put the 49 radiator centre in the tub of vinegar. I use vinegar a lot to remove rust from steel, and it works very, very well. So I've just got to add a bit more vinegar to that to make sure it's submerged, and then I should be able to have a nice clean centre section for the radiator. This is a grill centre section after 1 week in the tub of vinegar. You look at that and you'd say nothing has really happened. It still looks fairly rusted and dirty, but what I'll do is to just get the wire brush and scrub that a bit. Then I'll hose it with just a normal garden hose, and we'll see how it comes up. It'll probably have to go in again, but I think you'll notice a significant difference once this is cleaned up with just a wire brush and water. Right, now this is the result of the clean up. Still got a bit of paint. Most of the rust is gone. It's still left the metal a bit pitted, but that's where the rust has eaten into it a bit. It's lifted most of the paint, but you can see how the vinegar does actually clean things up, and even to the extent that you can see the original brazing of the fins. So it's come up fairly well. I'll put it back in the acid bath maybe for another week, see if I can remove more of the paint and what little bits of rust are left. So all in all, it's come up quite well. Now this is a small metal panel that attaches to the radiator shell and joins on with the rest of the body panels. I've had this in the tub the same time as the centre of the radiator, just a week. I'll now clean this off. There's a good chance this has been cleaned up enough to just kill any remaining surface rust with phosphate. So I'll just see how it goes with the water. Now this just shows the effectiveness of using vinegar. Simple, cheap product to remove rust and in most cases most of the paint. This one I cleaned up before. You can see it's starting to go a little bit yellow. As it's exposed to air, it'll end up with a small coating of surface rust just from air exposure. This one I've only just hosed off, so it's a lot cleaner. All the rust is gone. What I'll now use is some phosphoric acid, and I'll rub that over with some Scotch-Brite, and you'll notice that any yellow tinge here will disappear. Now these are the same panels. They've now been treated with phosphoric acid. You can see the yellow is gone, and while you're scrubbing it with the Scotch-Brite, it cleans off any remaining surface rubbish. Even some of the paint on that's just about all gone, but it's killed off now enough they can just be stored till I'm ready to fit them. You know, they'd stay like that for 12 months. They won't rust, as long as I don't leave them out in the rain, of course, but they won't rust from surface moisture, so they're fine. This is the top of the radiator mounting section. It's also the part that the grill actually attaches to. It's been in the tub of vinegar for the same time as all the rest of the radiator surround pieces. I'm about to start scrubbing it off and see if this needs to go back in the bath. By the look of it, it may not need to once I've cleaned up some of this rubbish off the top. This has come up really well. Hosed it off, scrubbed it a bit with a scourer, and then killed off any air surface rust with phosphoric acid. That's now ready to go into the parts to help build the front end of the car. The radiator surround has a few problems to rectify. A dent here, a slight depression there with a few scratches, another dent there. Around the bottom here I've got stress cracks. The brass is actually cracked. It's cracked in around here and around there. Now those cracks will have to be brazed up. The captive nuts on here, I've already had to weld two new captive nuts on because the bolts sheared off, so that's been done. In here there are some captive nuts on the bottom which once again they'd sheared off, so I've got to put new captive nuts in there. Up in the inside, the mount for the actual mesh grill, one of those has fallen off, and apart from that the captive bolt had sheared off anyway, so I've got to replace the bolt and resolder that in there to be able to mount the grill. So there's a few things to do, a few repairs. I've cut the section out here so I can get to the area that I've got to try and push out here. So once I've pushed that out, then I've got to resolder the rest of that plate back in there. So a fair bit of work to do before I can actually mount this on the front of the car. Repairs to the radiator surround are basically complete. I have soldered the mount back in place. I soldered this piece back in place. I cut that out so I could actually panel beat the dent in this centre section, so that's all done. I've basically removed the dent on that side, a little bit of finishing to do. The dent in this side is mostly up, but I'm waiting until I've finished firing these silver solder repairs down, and then I'll finish finishing that off. So the silver solder worked well, that's repaired. I found an additional crack in there and a crack in there, so that's all soldered up. Silver solder. The section here is silver solder. And I say, I'll clean those up at the file and polish them up before I'm finished, before this will ever go to frame. The captive nuts on the bottom have all been soldered in, all around here. So all in all, this is ready to use to try and mount all of the front of the car, because a lot of things actually bolt onto this, the side panels along the side of the bonnet, so I need to have this in position so I can mount all the other parts. So at this stage it's good enough to use for the mounting process.